Hey there, Stage Math students, and welcome to Notes 3.8. So tomorrow we've got a quiz. It's not a test, so it'll be shorter, but a quiz on Unit 3 thus far. And I think we've done a pretty good job about the constant proportionality and rates and ratios, so don't freak out. But today's notes are all about kind of reviewing for that quiz. So the first thing we should be able to do is use tables to represent proportional relationships. Cool. So what do we have to do here? We have to figure out the constant of proportionality, right? So if I give you a table, you just take the data that you do know, and you divide, if this is x and this is y, right? You divide y over x. So 10.5 over 3 to figure out what the constant of proportionality is. And when you do that, you end up with 3.5. So 3.5 doesn't go in this first spot because if I have 0 hours, I should also have 0 inches of rainfall, right? But if I have 1 hour, I should have 3.5 inches of rainfall. And then basically all I'm doing for the rest of these is figuring out what the output is, the y, if I multiply by the constant of proportionality. So this would be 7, and 4 times 3.5 would be 14. And then we've got our entire table filled in. So it says, after how many hours would the amount of rainfall be 28 inches? So we can know, we actually have ratios here. We know what 1 hour is, right? So we got hour over inches. And for 1 hour, we have 3.5 inches. So basically, we're just trying to find out, okay, x over 28, right? So we're using that unit rate of 1 over 3.5 to start. So if you get to a problem tomorrow on the quiz and you're like, oh, where do I start? Always figure out, hey, what's my unit rate? And start from there, right? So 1 times 28 is 28. 3.5 times x is 3.5x. So 3.5x equals 28. And then we'll just go ahead and divide by 3.5. This is the type of work I want to be able to see on tomorrow's quiz. So, you know, if you have to watch this video tonight to study, watch this video tonight to study. So 28 divided by 3.5 gives you 8. So it would be 8 hours. I'd get 28 inches of rainfall. So this is write an equation to express or to represent the rainfall. You're gonna see this tomorrow. When I say equation, I just want something that's y equals kx, right? And your k is basically the only thing that's gonna change. It's your constant, right? So let me get rid of that. So it's going to be, our answer here is y equals, what's our constant? It's 3.5. 3.5x, and that's your answer. So it says, if it continues to rain at this rate, how many inches of rainfall will fall after 6 hours? Again, you could use the same proportions, hours over inches, and this time we know it's 1 over 3.5. is equal to, hey, this time I know my hours, right? 6 hours. Hours are on top, so 6 goes on top. 6 over x, right? So I go ahead and just say 1 times x, which is 1x, and I say 3.5 times 6, which is 21. And I finished by dividing by 1, which is really just going to be x is equal to, because those cancel off, x is equal to 21 inches, right? So a problem like number 3 could definitely pop up on tomorrow's quiz. Knowing this back and forth, you know, how to work with a table, how to set up your ratio as proportions here, writing an equation from it is an important tool to have, okay? Moving on, I can write equations that represent proportional relationships. So it says an app developer projects that he will earn $20 for every 8 apps downloaded. Write an equation to represent the proportional relationship between the number of apps and total earnings. So basically, again, when it says write an equation, all we're going to want from you is to say y equals kx, right? Now you just got to find out what the k is. Well, we know k is always equal to the y over x, right? So what's y and what's x? So the amount of money I get is y, and the amount of apps I put in is x, right? So I just got to figure out 20 divided by 8 is going to give me my k. So 20 divided by 8, and that gives you 2.5, right? So my answer is y equals 2.5x. There's your answer right there, right? So number 5 is very similar to number 4. I'm going to let you do that on your own. Number 6, again, all you're doing is writing something that says y equals kx. basically you just have to figure out what your K is. If this is X and this is Y, just pick one of these things to do the Y over X and figure out what K is and then plug it in, right? Same thing with the graph. You can pick one point on this graph. It literally doesn't matter which point you pick. I would pick the easiest one. Here's your Y, right? Here's your X. So if you picked 10 over 1, it should be pretty easy to find your K. Again, you just want something that's in Y equals KX form, and you want to figure out your constant of proportionality and plug it in there. All right, on the back side, I can use verbal models to represent proportional relationships. So it says, write in a situation that explains the equation y equals 5x. So where is 5 a constant, right? You know, I earned $5 every time I mow a lawn, something like that. You come up with your own. Danny sells beach towels for $12.50 each. Write an equation to represent that situation. Y equals 12.50x. Boom, done, right? Number 10 I'll allow you to do on your own, and number 11 I'll allow you to do on your own. And then the last section here is I can use a graph to represent proportional relationships. So it says use the graph to answer the questions below. So again, remember, this is your x, this is your y value, and this is your x value, right? So in this situation, what does ordered pair 0, 0 represent? It means I used 0 gallons, right? That was on my, I should say I traveled 0 miles. So do the x first. Traveled 0 miles. That was what the x coordinate means. And used what the y coordinate means, 0 gallons. Okay. How many gallons of gas are required for a 500-mile road trip? So here's 250. So we just have to figure out our constant or proportionality. I could say, okay, here's a point right there. I could say 2 over 50, right, is equal to 2 divided by 50 gives you 0.04. All right, cool. And so I could say that's my constant of proportionality, right? K is equal to 0.04. Or I could say, hey, 2 over 50, if this is gallons over miles, 2 over 50 is equal to x over 500, right? So 2 times 500, that's 1,000. And then 50 times x, that's 50x. So 50x equals 1,000. And then I just divide by 50 to solve, right? Divide by 50, divide by 50. X is equal to 20 gallons. All right? And in this one, I'm going to allow you to kind of do it on your own, okay? All right, so that's it. Use this video tonight to help you study, and obviously use the homework video as well.